Good Tuesday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV, the internal combustion engine age YouTube channel that talks about all my cars and trucks, SUVs, the motorcycles, the camper, the grilling time, the pool, the dogs, the Kiefer. Hey, Kiefer, for the last 2 mornings, has not been going off as I try to talk. Wow, what a beautiful, beautiful Tuesday morning as we come to the end of August. Wow, man, time, everybody. Wow. Hey, good morning to all those that watch my channel. Thanks so much for tuning in on a glorious, beautiful Tuesday morning here in the Northern Virginia, Maryland, D.C. area where it's going to be hot and humid. But right now it's not too bad, but it is just a beautiful day. Transitioning of the seasons upon us. And hey, there's a Margaritaville griller that last night I grilled off the grill and had a great dinner of hot dogs and hamburgers and waffle fries. Really good, beautiful evening here. And so anyways, as we walk across the shop and the bricked black truck, which technically it really wasn't brick. In fact, kind of amazed I just didn't take the time myself to try to jumpstart it, because you can jumpstart those things. It kind of sounds funky, but the truck needs to be serviced and blah, blah, blah. And I paid for all the extra warranties and service. So good riddance, it's gone. It didn't fall off the truck. But anyways, it's down there at Coons Showing Ford, and the Mustang GT is did not have a defective part. So that rear knuckle, I think they call it the rear knuckle in the suspension, come to find out, they verified with Ford that seal number on that part on both sides, they're all good. So that car is ready to be brought home, but this car here needs to be dropped off because it needs to have the transmission line inspection. So it's just all about rotating cars. Good Lord. Got the F-150 truck Lightning here plugged in, getting powered up. I mean, the F-150 truck, I mean, it's a nice truck. I mean, even though people out there think these things are all junk, they're not. I mean, it is a nice vehicle. And for the record, yeah, you lose your ass when you buy one, but what vehicle do you not buy that you don't lose your ass on? I mean, sincerely, what vehicle do you not buy that in so many ways you lose your ass? And I hate to use that word this morning, but all right, so here we are. Lights, camera, action. Get the fans going because it is kind of hot, humid. Get the dogs in the office. Well, I was in my office till late yesterday evening. Busy day yesterday. Busy day again today. Actually getting a little early start. Come on, pups. Just because, good Lord, Brian and Julie didn't even get back in last night till like 7 o'clock. Okay, stay there. Just a lot going on. Busier time of year for us, thank goodness. So that's the good news. And so as we walk around the shop here, is the lights, camera, action. I didn't even do it. I forgot to turn on the light, everybody. Sorry. Got to keep the theme going, and that's the thing. It's always about thinking a word of the day. And sometimes I even think to myself, I swear I talked about the word of the day. But I look in my own library of words, I don't see it. You know what? Here's Don. We got Don in the pickup truck, which is pretty cool. So good morning, Don. And now we have Don on, looky here, look what he had here. I thought about changing that Ken's name to Don's name here. Didn't do that, but here's Don. I think he's ready to go do some dirt bike riding. Yeah, look at that there. And I think that's pretty cool. That I'm sure Don's probably wondering how strange I'm getting, but yay, we're okay. It's all right. So good morning there, Don. So anyways, here we are. It's never ending. What do I talk about on my channel? I talk in circles. I know I do. But at the same time, I enjoy getting up in the morning and creating content where I think just intrigues others, intrigues myself. And that's why I do this, because I just love to get the day going, where I just think to myself, what's the current events of going on in our world? What's the current events of all the cars and motorcycles and trucks? And that's the thing. The word yesterday was key. The key to how many keys do I have? And the key to success and the key to life. And I appreciate those that reach out. And actually, Roger, it was so cool. Roger, one of the subscribers, he actually took the time from yesterday's conversation. Before we get into that, I'll talk about that in a minute. First thing is, the word of the day is different. And even for me, I think I never have used in all of my words different conversations. And I apparently have not. So I thought, wow, different is a great word to use, because if you look at where we are in today's society, in the car and motorcycle, trucks, campers, boats. It's infinite on how different everything is and how all of us have a different attitude, a different opinion. And bringing out all to one is not easy. And if you look at my collection of vehicles, I really have a different vehicle. I don't really have, per se, a duplicate vehicle besides the Ford Mustangs off the tip of my tongue. Is the only duplicate vehicle I think I have. But then you go to the motorcycles, the two Groms are not different per se besides the colors. But once again, it's incredible where we are in today's society on how much difference there is. And I can honestly say for myself growing up, how even more different things are available. I'm sure many people of my age group, if you were born in the 50s or 60s, you would probably raise your hand and say it's beyond believable of what the options are and the differences of what I grew up with to what you now have available within hand's reach is just beyond believable. And who would ever even imagined of all the things that mankind has created and how different things are. So, and then there's the different YouTubers, and you hear me talk about that quite a lot, is about the different personalities on YouTube that I scratch my head that the guy that walks around with the phone, in fact, nobody commented yesterday on that one video where I did time just doing what a lot of other YouTubers do, and they just talk to you, you know, face to face through their phone, and that's all you pretty much see. Is you're just watching them walk around, and then I'm telling you what the future is. I'm telling you what the dire straits of the country's in. I'm telling you that the housing market just crashed, and everybody's losing their homes, and all the cars are being repossessed, and all the car dealerships are going out of business, and the motorcycle dealers are going out of business, and that the stock market's going to crash, and you better cash out. And I mean, and that's kind of really the rhetoric that these people, you know, pitch on a daily basis. And they do this. They talk to you face to face. I mean, is that more enjoyable? Do you guys want me to start switching to where you just look at my face the whole time instead of seeing the artwork around my property? I'm just curious. Nobody voiced that yesterday, but once again, the big YouTubers that I know of that are constantly populating my channel, they're the people that walk around and they'll go to a car dealership and they'll show you that the car dealership has a gazillion cars sitting on it, so that dealership's going to go bankrupt and close. And then let's go on and on. So now, once again, conversations, and that's where that conversation comes down to yesterday. I shared with you on my phone on how an individual had a YouTube channel, and they posted that you have a decline in the motorcycle industry. But I did just a little brief research, and that information seems to me to be misinformation. Well, what's so cool is Roger, a long-term subscriber, he actually took the time yesterday. This is so cool. I mean, for me as a YouTuber, and for those that participate in my channel, you have no idea how that truly just, I was just like, wow. I mean, I'm overwhelmed. I am overwhelmed as an individual that I have such cool subscribers that will take the time just to, you know, interact with me in this channel. And I just think, wow, I'm blessed, because the reward of friendship on my channel is far outweighs any monies I've ever made on my channel. So, but what's so cool, Roger sent me a picture of, here is actual data from 2021. So this is on-road motorcycle registration in the United States by state from 2021 to 2023. He took the time to dig this up. And what you look at is, this is telling you every state of known motorcycle road registrations. So you go all the way down to the bottom, it shows that in 2021, there were a little 8.5 million motorcycles. 2022, 8.7. 2023, borderline 8.8. So this right here, by state for the country, this does not support by any means that person that posted a video that says that the motorcycle industry is in a decline. When I think in like 2001, there was like 4 million registered motorcycles in the U.S. or something like that. I'm not even really sure on those numbers. Whole point is, for Roger, thank you very much. That was so nice of you, because he's just, I think what's so cool about that is I'm sure people watch my channel and they have a different view of what I say versus what you think. And I'm sure that some would say, you're calling some of these YouTuber guys out, which probably isn't really fair. Or some of you may be like, right, you need to start calling out these YouTubers. But at the same time, like Roger, he's so funny. He said maybe maybe the misinformation is the way you need to go. I thought that in so many words. He didn't say exactly that, but he was implying maybe in your YouTube channel you just ought to start presenting more misinformation. But I just don't want anything to do with that. I'm not desperate to sell my soul. I'm not selling my soul like so many of these other individuals are just to make a living. I won't do it. I left the company where I was making a lot of money, where the owner was just a really soulless individual, and I eventually raised my hand. And this is when I worked in the oil industry, and I worked very hard to graduate to me being a very accomplished salesperson and starting to make a very good income at a very young age. But the owner was a soulless individual, and I came to closure. I'm not making any more money, and I moved on. That's when I went to that waterless car wash product, Dry Wash and Guard. And yeah, I took my hits to sell that stuff, and I know the owner is thinking I'd come back begging and pleading on my hands and knees to come work for him again, but he's like, hell no. No, I'm not going to work for him. I'm not going to sell my soul. And that's always been my thoughts from being working for somebody and also being employed for myself. I'm not going to pay people off just to do business with them. And that's what I think that goes on in the YouTube community more than we realize. But anyways, let's just kind of keep it back on the different conversations on how it's so incredible. Here's a Honda Goldwing. And for me, I'm blessed because here is a Honda Goldwing. This is what that motorcycle, that trike over there, is all about. This motorcycle. And what's really interesting is Gail, a subscriber, and her husband Brian, they're coming over this Saturday because they want to get a trike. And they live local. And I think it's so cool that they've connected with my channel and they like my channel to the point they want to come here and see my collection of motorcycles, in which they are. And my wife knows about it, and I have the blessing to have them come over. And she's so cool. She's going to make a chicken casserole dinner for us, which she doesn't even do that, but she has her own cooking channel and she loves to cook and she wants to share her cooking. So that's very nice of her and her husband to come up and spend some time here, and they're local. So it's very easy. If Don was local, he'd probably be over here sitting on that dirt bike, riding that dirt bike, which in all sincereness, I wouldn't have a problem with that. So here's the thing. The difference of this Goldwing, so this is how that trike over there at one day looked like this. If you watch my channel, they took this motorcycle, they took it apart, and they turned it into the California Sidecar Company, which is now in Virginia, and they extended it by about a foot. They extended the rake on the steering, and then they did all the body architecture on it, and I just love this trike. I love it. I mean, I am so tempted to get back on this motorcycle and ride around in my business and work off of it, but the roads, it just isn't the same. 10 years ago, I mean, it really is. In a 10-year span, so 2015, 16, 17, 18, I think really in 19, I think it was like 18 and 19 I kind of pulled back. But you back to 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, I was very active on my Harley-Davidson motorcycles, riding around, working off my business. But in today's world of the crazies out there in the roads, I don't feel good about it. And it's too much work, too much traffic. It just isn't worth it. It isn't the same fun. But I lived behind the wheel, and that's something that I've talked about before, is I lived behind the wheel of all these cars all of my life. Since 1985 is really when I started working on the roads, driving tanker trucks, doing sales, creating my own business. So it's 85 to present day that I just lived behind the wheel of these cars and trucks. That's all I've ever done. The danger of that has always been that I'm always seeing all these cars and trucks every day of my life. I'm driving by car dealerships. I'm seeing all these cars and trucks. You got to wonder why it all got embedded in my head. If I can own a bunch of cars and trucks, I wonder why. That's all I ever see every day I get out of bed and drive around the road. But the point of all this is, for me, I was driving around all the time. I was so sick of it. I wanted to change a pace. I was able to convince my wife in 2012 to let me get back on a road motorcycle. Prior to that, I had dirt bikes and ATVs. And I talk about this all the time. Even Jack at the Timber Honda took my advice. He just bought himself a dirt bike about a month ago because he's been away from dirt for 20 plus years. And he heard me talking about how you don't have to have a road motorcycle to have fun. You can get a dirt bike and go dirt bike riding. There are plenty of areas you can go off-roading. There are areas you can go buy a dirt bike and put it in the back of your truck or trailer and go drive somewhere and be on the dirt instead on the road. Just for anybody out there thinks this through. ATV parks, motorcycle parks. It's pretty big out there. It just depends where you live and how close or far away it is to work for you. But the point is, I wanted a different ride, a different change up, and that's what drove me to riding the motorcycle. And it drove me. I was so excited to drive and ride on those Harley motorcycles that I went out of my way anytime I had a chance to jump on one and go ride. I did, and then to the point, my dad, when he was up here visiting, he would be in the back of that motorcycle with me, and we'd go ride around and work the business, which was so cool. But that's all changed now. So back to the difference, it's just beyond believable of all the differences of these motorcycles and cars. And that's been my challenge in life is I get bored so easily. That's just my challenge. That I buy a new car, I buy a new truck, I buy a new motorcycle, and it's just a matter of time where I'm bored of driving that vehicle. I want something different. And I think many people can relate with that you buy a car and you want something different. I never had that problem with women, thank God. I mean, that was not my challenge in life. Some people do have that problem with women and men. They want a different man or a different woman or a different partner, and that gets expensive, and that's very emotional, and it's very challenging. That hasn't been my challenge in life for me, thank goodness. So for me, I thought years ago, if I just owned a lot of cars, and this is no lie, this is kind of how the pea brain works in my brain, the way my brain processes information differently from yours, is I just thought, well, I had all these different cars and trucks and motorcycles, that would satisfy my desire not to have to go out and buy something once again. Yeah, right. Did that work out? Not by any means. But the point of this conversation is I am so fortunate for the moment. Nothing's guaranteed for the future, as we all know. I have the availability to just have a different ride in all these vehicles. And I can share with everyone here, just like you can share with me, the same story of whatever you own, how different it is from something you used to own, or how the different personalities of these vehicles is so different. I mean, so this Honda Trike, even though it's a Honda Goldwing, with the engine, transmission, technology, everything's the same, except it has rear wheels on it, and it has a raked out front end, but it's so different. It's a totally different ride than this. And in some ways, it really is, the Trike really is a little bit more work of riding that motorcycle, because you've got that back end, and you really do have to keep your hands on your handlebars, because it's just a different type of feel on the back end as you ride down the road. And in some ways, it can kind of make you a little freaky feeling where maybe you feel it's unstable. And that's always kind of been my concern on these trikes is you feel like this would be one that would flip over and it would be bad. So it is a totally different ride. You still get the motorcycle experience because you're out in the open wind, and for this is a manual, but you're still out in the open. You're still holding two handlebars, two hand grips, I guess you could say, and you're still on a motorcycle. So that doesn't take that away, but the maneuverability and the quickness of getting yourself out of a situation, this is going to be much, much more challenging. And once again, the big difference is many people go to this type of trike setup is because as you get older, your body changes and it becomes more challenging for you to hold upright a 1,000-pound motorcycle with you on it. And then if you have a spouse, you can maybe have like a 1,500 pounds of weight between your gear, your luggage, your spouse, you now have like 1,500 pounds that you're having to keep up when you come to a stop, versus this is so much more accommodating because you don't have to put your feet down. It's very stable, and it gives you, in my world, I think it gives you more storage. I never have looked up the cubic feet of the saddlebag total versus this, but I would think this is by far gives you more storage. So, and for me, once again, for this trike to have played out a week later, this is beyond believable. And this was never even on my radar screen. You know, if you watch my channel, I was a year ago, so close to buying a Harley Davidson Road Glide 3. So close. But I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't. I just didn't feel good about it. And I just felt like it would be something I'd buy, and it would just end up sitting up in the shop like all this other stuff, and it just wouldn't get ridden much. So I just came to closure. I really felt that the new technology would be right around the corner for the next generation trike, and I'd regret not waiting for the 117 motor. I'm not a big fan of the 114 motor. It's a nice motor, but my favorite motor is the 117 as far as the Harley goes. The 121 is very nice, but the 117 just a really nice motorcycle. So now on my channel, I'm Mr. Sanchez. Good morning there, Mr. Sanchez. He reached out to Vinny, that was with the help desk, I believe. I just can't keep track of all the interaction on my channel of people commenting and saying things, and so for me, trying to find this information, so it's not easy when you go to my channel. But what I'm trying to say to you is, he was looking at an Indian Pursuit, and for me, I have a whole video of the Indian Pursuit of where those who watch my channel know that was a very long and wasn't a good thing. And so, let's see here. I'm getting right here. It's Father Sarducci. I'm sorry. So there's so many usernames out there. So here it is. Right here it is. Father Sarducci. Friday, I went to a local. He was looking at the Pursuit, and I was telling him. And here's Mr. Sanchez. If you buy one, don't get the Pursuit. There's a weird issue and something that causes a wobble. So Mr. Sanchez on my channel, he's interacting with my channel, sharing the difference of a Indian Challenger, which I had that and never had any issues, versus the Indian Pursuit. He's just saying, hey, hey, Vinny, you want to make sure that you don't want to do. You know what? It gets too confusing here. So I don't think it's Vinny. I think it's Victor. Sorry everybody. It's a lot of users out there. So sorry if I'm using the wrong name for anybody out there that is on my channel. So, but the point of that conversation is, Mr. Sanchez is pointing out to another subscriber that there's a difference between the Challenger and that Pursuit. And the biggest difference is you've got the Tour Pack on the Pursuit over the Challenger, and you have the lowers. And for some reason, that makes that motorcycle a whole different animal, where it's not a very confident machine, because you get this kind of weird death wobble out of it, which if you watch my channel. So anybody that comes to me, I'm going to tell them the Pursuit, I think it's a roll of the dice. I don't think they've ever resolved the problem personally. I think that people just deal with it, and it is what it is. But it's a beautiful motorcycle. But once again, look at the difference here on the Harleys, where you have the bagger, the breakout. Like my good friend Chris, he loves the look of this Harley Davidson breakout. To the point, after I got mine, he went and got one. But then at the end of the day, he realized it's just too different a ride body posture for him. And he ended up trading it in to get the new Road Glide 24, which he, in some ways, likes, but in some ways, I'm not sure about that. I think he may. I don't know what well, you know what? Yeah, I think he's gonna get rid of that personally, but who knows? That's Chris and Shannon, who I ride with. I think that they're gonna get a trike. That's what I think is gonna play out. I think that my friend Chris and Shannon are gonna have a trike. We shall see, because they're very intrigued. I mean, they love this bike. So the difference is here, once again, one thing that we all know that is different between all of us is your level of education, your income. I mean, there's so many things that start to play out in your life as you progress, is what separates those that have a lot and what separates those that don't have a lot. The two opposites. And there's a difference of what you're, I think there's a lot of luck too. I mean, I think there's so much luck. I just know people that were at the right place at the right time, and things just played out in incredible success stories. And I know also of people, unfortunately, were at the wrong place at the wrong time, and things just didn't work out for them. And so it's very challenging, and that's what I think intrigues so many people to follow others that are very successful is because they're trying to figure out what made them different that I couldn't have accomplished. And I'm right there with you. I mean, even though people can look at me, this incredibly successful person, well, I'm just a crazy guy that buys and finances everything I buy. So it isn't for me to by any means brag that I'm an incredibly successful individual. I'm just more of a guy that has the car addictions and motorcycle addictions that drive me to the point of brink of going broke to enjoy what I can at the age of life I'm in. But I would never want to say to anybody, oh, I've mastered the figure out how you can make all the money in the world, and I've just got millions and millions of dollars stashed away and everything's beautiful. That isn't who I am. I'm just a guy that Joe, that used to work for me, that bugged me for years to start a YouTube channel to share with others how crazy I am of all the antics of what I do and go out and buy stuff. But at the same time, I enjoy my channel through the communication of me sharing views and ideas. And that's a driving force of my channel, that I've always have wanted to have like a car talk channel where we can talk amongst ourselves and share the views and ideas and thoughts and have conversation. Because that's what's so fun in life. I enjoy talking, and I enjoy talking to others. And that's a difference, because there's many people out there, they don't enjoy that. They don't really like that interaction. They're more very, I guess, quiet, more, they just don't really, they're not really into that. I'm sure many people have friends and family. It could be you. You're just like, I like to listen to people. I like to watch things. But as far as me participating, not so much. I just would rather watch and listen to your channel. But I'm really not into the group conversations. I'm really into the meeting up with people. And that's fine. I understand that. And just like when I became a youth basketball coach, for me, one part of me is like, do I really want all the exposure, the commitment? It's work, it's time. But I was like, no, I got to do it because my daughter's young, and I want to show her that she can have fun, and I want to be part of the coaching to help her learn from this. And who knows, one day my daughter may become a youth girls coach. You never know, because of her experience of being with me. My dad was a soccer coach for a while in California, and if it wasn't for his schedule, I'm sure he would have coached a lot more of things that I was involved in, but his schedule conflicted with him to do that. And so many people say, yes, the difference of lifestyles from so many of us, which today, as we know, the lifestyles today more than ever enable others to be remotely working. And with them remotely working, that gives them an opportunity to have a difference of a lifestyle that they never had. And that's very challenging for many businesses today more than ever, because so many have enjoyed the remote work, and in some organizations, they feel like that's got to stop. And for the guys that own all the big buildings downtown that used to get all the guaranteed leases for all these big businesses to pay them for all the people to be in these offices, that's all different now as well, which is extremely challenging. And so for us, what's here, kind of change it up here real quick, because Can-Am just released a really cool three-wheeler. Now, some people, I'm sure, would say you should have got the Can-Am Trike, which is the front two wheels, rear. And in some ways, yeah, but in other ways, no. I'm just not the Can-Am guy. I'm not the Bombardier type of individual. And I just don't, it just isn't who I am. So look at this here. Here is the new Can-Am Canyon. So Can-Am just released like an off-road trike, which is actually pretty cool. It's kind of a love-hate type of look of a vehicle. If I can get it in here for you, which that gets complicated. So this here, this was just released. I hate this stuff. Oh, it's never easy, people. When you go to show people stuff, it never is easy. It's a pain in the ass. So it's an off-road, back-road adventure motorcycle. Instead of being two-wheel, it's a three-wheel. And here it is. It looks like military. You'd think they'd probably get the military to buy these things. So pretty cool. I mean, it is a very cool setup. If I lived in areas where I was really doing a lot of back off-roading, I think it would be something I'd probably consider. I mean, to me, that's really cool. So that'll be interesting to see on the YouTube community who gets one of those. Probably somebody already has, and takes it out in the backwoods. But it's a whole different type of motorcycle setup, just like this adventure bike here. So I focused a lot on the motorcycles, and of course we have all the cars and the differences of all the cars. And for me, the C8 Corvette, I think, is a beautiful car after seeing that Z06 next to Brett's blue, not grabber blue, whatever they call that, race blue, whatever. That, what was it, like a stealth gray? That was a beautiful Z06. And in all sincereness, I could see me wanting one of those. That's the danger of those C8s. But the C8s, those are $100,000+ cars. And for me, I'm just not there. Even though, in this here to me, I think this Corvette is a beautiful looking car. And I just love the way it looks, the way it handles. Only thing is, the difference in that car there is you have that thing that has a supercharger lag. It just has like, you nail it, and it's like a split second of difference before that really comes to life and takes off. And so there's where, for so many of us, we all have the difference of what we like and don't like. And that's why it's just so incredible on how there'll be so many people that'll have a different view of Harley Davidson, meaning that they'll think it's the nicest bike in the world, versus another person will say it's the biggest piece of junk in the world. And you'll have a difference of opinion of someone thinking about the Honda Goldwing. It just doesn't have that flair, or as Mr. Sanchez says, the seat feels like a brick, and he gave it back. And so we have such a difference of when we look at these different motorcycles. Like, look at the Triumph. I mean, I think the Triumph Rocket R is just such a cool, badass looking motorcycle. And for Triumph, they've been around for, how long? I mean, the true beginnings of the motorcycle industry, a lot of it is a Royal Enfield. I've never been a Royal Enfield fan, but, Royal Enfield is kind of off the radar screen in my book because they don't make big enough CC bikes. And that's where, for me, last week, when I drove that CB650, it's hard to believe a week ago Tuesday, I drove that Honda CB650R that I bought for my daughter, the matte blue jean, to Winchester Timber Honda to get this. And it's such a small, light, nimble bike. I did not like that bike. I would not ride that thing for anything, meaning it was for my daughter a few years ago. But for me, no way. It's just too light a machine. It's too small. And it's just, I'm getting pushed around on the road. And versus, like even the Rocket here, an open road and kind of a windy day, you kind of get pushed around. But it's just a much more stable, much more fun. That is, even though it's an open road, naked bike. And that's what I call them, with no fairing. And so for so many years, I was anti-open, no fairing, naked bike. But as I get older in life, I just come to closure. Like, you know what? How many more years can I ride certain style motorcycles? And that's where the difference of the way I think from others is I want to own things because as I get older in life, I don't think I'll own these things because I can't ride them, nor will I have the financing or the monies that I make to own them. I mean, that's kind of how it'll play out for me because it's just too much debt. Now this bike here, yeah, is it different? It's radically different. Is this a bike that I bought for me to really ride? No, it was a bike I bought because I think it's really cool and badass looking, and I think it's a collector's type of vehicle. Motorcycle, I do. Well, I ride it here and there a little bit, but it just does too much. It's just too hard on your body. If you watch my video from Sunday, I was coming back in from riding with Chris and Shannon. My daughter was literally getting off this bike, like borderline falling down the ground and crawling on her knees, hands and knees, because of how much her back end was hurting her. And then Brian, out of Georgia, pretty cool, he reached out because I recognized him yesterday about the Iron Butt series, and he said, yeah, the age I'm at today, that ain't happening. And yes, did I destroy my Tuckus? I did. He's like, man, in some ways he may have regretted that craziness of riding thousands of miles in X amount of hours and time, and now he says that a 400-mile day and he's good. That's good for me. 400 miles, I'm done. Doing 2,000-3,000 miles over X amount of time and so many hours and so many days. That's what that Iron Butt series is all about. If you don't know about it, it's people have a competition who can get from point A to point B to point C to point D in the fastest amount of time, the most miles ridden with not ever stopping. I mean, it's crazy stuff. No, thank you. I'll never do that, but I know people have done it. And as Brian's saying, his body is taking a toll, and he thinks that differently now. So now on the car side, we all know the biggest agenda that came to be was my channel, that I knew the transition of the Ice Age. Remember, Ice Age TV, I did send Albert his sticker, 2 stickers yesterday, one for you and one for somebody else. But Ice Age TV comments at gmail.com. But it's the internal combustion engine age. I made this YouTube channel because I knew that we would be challenged on the renewable energies and the alternative energies, the electric vehicles, all that stuff. And that's why I thought that the name of my channel would be so appropriate, because we're being challenged more than ever for the Ice Age to continue on, where so many want it to become just that, the Ice Age, meaning it comes to an end. And so that's where there's a huge difference, as I talk about all the time, on the EV agenda versus the ICE agenda. And what's very interesting, I've read a very in-depth article today about China is controlling the rare earth minerals. So you have like the silver gray alloy, which is a key rare mineral in the world that is part of the integrity of electric motors, batteries. As you know, you have lithium, cobalt, magnesium, you have iron. You have so many different rare earth materials that are used today in electronics and are used in the EV vehicles and the batteries. And so China right now is deliberately overproducing rare metals, rare materials that are used to gain traction in this EV agenda, the radical EV agenda transitions. But China is trying to make it very challenging for other countries to get into the rare earth mining operations. This is factual. You can look it up in Wall Street Journal. And so China wants to continue to control the world dominance of them being the #1 battery maker for electric vehicles. They want to be the #1 electric vehicle manufacturer of the world. And so what they're doing is they're literally making it so it's very challenging for other companies to get into mining operations to be able to make any money. And on top of that, China now is maybe going to play the tariff trade wars with our country, where Joe Biden wants to shut down the capability of their vehicles coming into our country. They're going to shut off you getting their raw rare materials. So if you're a Tesla company, like Elon Musk, he may be challenged more than ever in the future to be able to outsource his building of his electric vehicles through the China infrastructure. They may put tariffs or may just turn off, like what we did in NVIDIA, whether you realize it or not. NVIDIA is not allowed to sell any of their chips to China. And there's a huge black market right now going on, but realize it or not, NVIDIA cannot sell the artificial intelligence capability chips to China. So China has to develop their own. So China's playing a tit for tat. And once again, so their goal is to make it very challenging for the future of infrastructure to be built in the world to outdo them. So it's a really good article, and it just is it's continuing to push, it's pushing the agenda where it's what their goal is to make the Americans and the Europeans, where consumers have to pay a lot of money to get that infrastructure in electric vehicles to compete against them, because China wants to be the #1 superpower. So it's all about control. And that's where the difference, I think, of us individuals have a separation in this country now more than ever. It isn't so much, I think, the EV agenda, the green agenda per se. It is, but it's not. But it's the political agenda. And I just think it's incredible in how we are such the difference of what one party thinks everything's great and beautiful, and the other party thinks everything's in a shambles. And just like yesterday, the BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, is now disclosing that this so-called rosy, beautiful economy that's in front of us, and everybody can get a job and everybody's employed. They're now showing that they were off by 881,000 jobs from the Bureau of Labor over a year to previous year. There were, close to 1 million less jobs created and employed from the year before. So this is just now, that got a little bit of traction, but it doesn't seem to change much in other variables where the stock market's hitting all-time highs. But it's technology driven. So I've talked about this before. It's a difference of opinions of why the stock market is so healthy and so beautiful, but it's a tech stock, technology driven. Those are the hot stocks for the moment. and other things too. So, but going back to the difference, it's the difference of the views and opinions that divide us more than ever today, that the one party thinks that they should do this and do that to make America better, but so many see through that feel that it will only make the country worse. And how we can take the differences of those two different views and change those is extremely challenging, because the propaganda machine, which has been at work for thousands of years and in our modern times, is the most ever on how Elon Musk mouths off all the time about how the legacy media is destroying this country. I don't think it's anything new to the average person watching my channel, but go to X and he tries to make it more open and more transparent. And as you know, if you're watching the downtown news, Mr. Mark Zuckerberg, I call him the F word, Mr. Efferberg. I call it the F Uckerberg, is who that guy is. That guy is the worst. That guy is a peeping Tom. What that guy's gotten away with, and the amount of money he's made, it's beyond believable. And for me, I always resisted being on Facebook just because of that guy. But yet at the end of the day, yeah, I'm on Facebook like a lot of other people. Some aren't. I'm not on there really, besides just a little. But point is that he's being now nailed to the wall, that it's exposing on how during election time, during COVID time, he was an influencer on social media through his platform of Meta, Facebook, of influence people to think a certain way and look at things a certain way. And it wasn't all as transparent and as open as you thought it was. And a lot of people that had a difference of opinions were banned from these platforms and taken away. We all know the story of Trump being kicked off of Twitter. And I'm not here to defend all that, but I'm just sharing that the difference of views and ideas have gotten so powerful and radical that the governing bodies have intertwined and gotten involved, and this sitting party to be was now being exposed that they were directly hand in hand with the social media platforms to control the content. It just blows me away that anybody would want to support a party today. And I'm not saying the Republicans wouldn't do the same thing, but the reality is the facts and the truths are starting to be exposed, and it blows me away that the difference of views on how one person's like, who cares? What's the big deal? What's the big deal? What is it? Why does that really matter? But you're still listening to the one lopsided propaganda by this same administration that's convincing you that this is going to be this and this is going to be that. You're not connecting the dots. That's where the difference of how people process information, and that's what I say more than ever in my lifetime, is as I get older, I look at people and I scratch my head on how they process information. And it's very challenging today because the influence of others that will push you to think a different way than you should, and that's a huge, huge problem. So I'm going to kind of wrap it up. But Bernie Sanders, as always, is the guy that doesn't ever actually have a real job. And the guy is always mouthing off. And so let me see if it's on X. Let me see if I got an X here. But it'll disappear. So this stuff disappears instantly. So here is Bernie Sanders mouthing off that the Republican Party didn't vote to raise the minimum wage. They didn't vote for this. They didn't vote for that. So Bernie Sanders is always about just continue to tax the hell out of the rich, force employers to pay people a ton of money, and everything's going to be beautiful and nothing to be more expensive at the end of the day because of your views and ideas. So I do respond to these people, and nothing comes from it. Nobody follows me on X. Besides, nobody follows me on X. I'm just not that popular. Poor Kiefer, he's had an ear infection. What's interesting is we just changed him over in the last week to all this so-called better dog food that's very expensive to eliminate all the scratching and all the infections. And I was getting called out that I was giving the wrong dog food. That's the worst I've seen him yet. So I don't know how we're going to handle that. It just doesn't end, right? The difference of opinions. Everybody know that in the family? So, but anyways, to wrap that up, for Bernie Sanders, so I replied, it's incredible on how the people continue to listen to the Bernie Sanders guy that mouths off all day long, that continue to take more and more money to enrich the government, but there's never ever a conversation that every person in this country could get a pay raise if they would quit taking all your freaking taxes. Where's that conversation? You'll never hear it. You won't hear it. Now, sure, you'll hear like Trump wanting to lower taxes, but the whole point is everybody's talking about raising the cost of everything. How about start lowering the cost? You know how you do that? The government has to start being weaned off all of its entitlements and all its money's being given, and everybody needs to start paying less taxes. That's a pay raise. That's a huge pay raise, and nobody connects the dots. Is higher tax wages is higher wages of income taxes for the government to get paid. Hello, hello. Higher cost of goods is higher taxes on goods, brings in more tax revenue. Hello, is anybody figuring this stuff out? I mean, if you pay 6% tax on a $20,000 vehicle, that's $1,200. If it no goes to $30,000, it's $1,800. The government's just got to pay a raise. Is anybody figuring this stuff out, man? Beyond believable. Beyond believable where we're in today's society where people can't think differently from outside of the government and the social media and the propaganda, and it's bad. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to cut it off, and appreciate you watching my channel, and stay tuned for more adventures. What's the next adventure? Where's the trailer? What happened to trailer deal? That guy's so busy up there, that Trailer Enterprises, he can't even get back to me. But I got another plan. Stay tuned. God bless.